You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 48. On today's episode, Warren joins the show to discuss June in SojuTalk music and check in on the midpoint of K-pop in 2022. So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to the after show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, a chill discussion on this month in the SojuTalk Nation. We're recording on Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me this month, an incredible human being, a well-rounded musical savant, one who one day will take over the music industry with not only his musical acumen and agility on the digital spaces, but with his knowledge and his ability to connect with human beings through their soul, the one and only Warren. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh man, you made it hard for me to keep my laughter in for a second there. Thank you for having me, man. It's been how's it been, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, no, life has been wild. Just working since about April, like full time and stuff. It's just, I've actually done a nice job balancing fun things in my life with work, so I haven't been to the point of burnout. But yeah, man, it is not a struggle. It's something you have to keep track of to have fun and like do things, right? You have to keep reminding yourself that there's a time and place to separate work and like a personal life. So
of course, man. Yeah.
I think that's what's been taking up a lot of my time. How are you? It's been a long time, man. It's just like so good to see you. How are you?
It's been a bit. No, I mean, much same here, right? Like work-life balance is difficult to maintain and get the good balance of. So I mean, I don't know, man. Just really busy with work, really busy with doing the podcast. Life's been really, really hectic, but at the same time, it's been really rewarding. So, and while it's been hectic, music has always been in the background. So, happy to talk about anything today.
Yeah. Well, it's a very special episode because we are doing our monthly recap for June. It's also our mid-year check-in. So, I wanted to celebrate this time of the year with Warren because SojuTalk has been a big part of my life. It's been a big part of everyone's life that's been on Discord and the community. And I like to have these inflection points as really just important pieces of history to look back on. So thanks for joining. Thanks for coming by.
Oh yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, 2022, halfway over. Is that a half glass full way to say it?
Oh man. I guess so. I feel like there's a half of it left is the better way to look at it.
Left, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
More
I want this to go a little
come.
more slowly. Yes, please. Please.
And we've got a lot of K-pop to talk about. So we're gonna do our June in SojuTalk music recap. So we're gonna do our top 3 songs, counting down from 3 to 1. If there are any overlaps, we'll have some alternates to kind of discuss. And this is Warren's first time here to do the show. So as the guest of honor, Warren, what is your number 3 track of June 2022?
Looking back on June, it was a tight month. I'm not gonna lie. So it feels like a bit of a shocker to put this track on 3rd. But I'm putting "Pop" by Nayeon on 3rd place.
I am surprised. I am shocked. For 2 reasons. One, in that it's 3, and 2, in that is also my number 3 song of the month.
Okay. Maybe we weren't that crazy then. If we're both on 3rd.
I have like personal biases and reasons why there's other songs that move up, but we'll go into it. So what about Nayeon Pop and her solo debut? What about that song makes it number 3 for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think overall it was just a really great package that really, exemplifies what K-pop is really good at, like visual-wise, music-wise, the energy that's there, the way it appeals to a large audience in a really nice way. I think Pop did that in such a well-refined manner. You can tell Nayeon's been a veteran for like 6 years now at this point, 7 years now at this point, and it's coming out in Pop a lot. In the original episode where I talked about Pop, I did say that it doesn't do the fullest job of showing off what Nayeon is really capable of, right? I do still think the chorus is feels a little, almost a little childish for what Nayeon is really capable of. But at the same time, I do think there's a bit of appeal that comes from that that kind of childishness, I guess. And with all of that together, it's just a really fun piece. It's really fun to listen to. It definitely has grown for me a little bit over time, as the weeks go. I know it's not really been on my chart, but at the same time, I find that to be one of the songs that I keep coming back to every week. In my playlist, like I'll find it on my queue. Then I'll be like, okay, let's skip the one we're listening to right now so we can get to that good song,
Yeah, same here for me in the sense that I think initially it was a lot. It was a lot to kind of process, whether that was Nayeon's debut, just her as a soloist, and what does that mean to be different from Twice. The song itself is just a very high energy, almost stage performance type of song. Very, very show tunes. And then it's very summery also. And then there's also just amazing outfits. So I'm just like the full like overstimulation. It's like, oh my God, what is happening? And then talking about with Koro, so we did like a deep dive on the song and the album. He did illuminate a lot of things about why it was so important for her to have this project, essentially, right? Because yes, title tracks should be a collaboration with the company and all the stakeholders involved, but there are elements of her that she did insert into the song, and I think were more accentuated throughout the album. And I think this was just a nice starting point for her to kind of get the foothold into the general audience and just be a super like general audience friendly song, right? A very accessible song.
Oh yeah.
There were a couple of things about the song that you mentioned on the show as far as the chorus, and I wanted to get your take on it now, kind of being a little bit more separated on it. You said that the chorus kind of had two parts to show off her character. Do you still feel that way now, giving it a couple of weeks with the song, or do you feel like it's very much encompassing of who Nayeon is, that she's been represented as from Twice?
No, I think overall I do still feel the same way about it. I will admit I'm less annoyed about it. I'm less let down about it. Probably because it's been a couple weeks, but at the same time, having listened to the EP a lot more compared to when we talked about the song originally, I'm getting a lot of that. I'm getting that need satisfied with other tracks on the EP, like the track number 3 with Love Countdown with Wonstein. Well, that was a really good one that really showcases what Nayeon's really capable of. And there were other stuff in the album too, like Candy Floss or like, and all of that came together really nicely to do that instead of what I was expecting from the chorus, basically. So I'm a little less bothered by it, but at the same time, like, it would have been nice if it had done that, that kind of deal. Yeah,
no, I feel the same. I think as a full release, as a full solo debut, listen to the whole album because it gives a better picture of who Nayeon is as an artist, and her creative input. Because like you said, the song with Wonstein, that's my favorite song on the album. It just has like the R&B vibes. I feel like that was her genre, but they needed something that was just more pop friendly. So we have this song, which don't blame them because they can market this song, right? It's also about like the bottom line, all these other things that are involved in business and K-pop and music, right? But I feel like within the album, there definitely is her character, and to me, it feels like it's the Ariana Grande realm of like pop R&B, right? The very like fun, I'm in love, a little bit of puppy love, but she is a little bit older, so a sense of maturity in some of the songs also kind of rings true. So I feel like I get a lot of it from that. But again, that's not like front and center because pop is, the title track. So overall, I think it's a great entry point for Nayeon as an artist, something I could definitely remember from 2022. But yeah, man, if you just need like a high energy, like jolt of like something in your veins, go listen to Nayeon and Pop, because that'll wake you up, and for whatever down feelings you have about the world, it'll definitely pick you up.
It'll pop it all up, all the down feelings you have.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, we're doing great. We're doing great. Oh man. All right. Well, that was your number 3 track. So, and also my number 3 track. I'll go to an alternate. I'll go to the Weird Kid. So we got Woo-Ah with Danger. So shout out to Delmonic and Joe Cab. They've got me in the cult. They got me on the hype train for all of Woo-Ah. This past year, a little bit of a sneak peek into kind of our conversation later, but for me, this year's been about discovering either new artists or artist discography that aren't so well known, right? So I think for me, Woo-Ah was one of them where I just like dug into their entire discography. It's not that many songs. It's a nice compilation of songs where it's like, all right, good, I can listen to this like an afternoon. With Woo-Ah, with Danger, man. All right, so let's just get into kind of the weirdness of the chorus and the I don't even know how to put it. Yeah. So I think it's just very earwormy, right? It's very addicting. Right? I think that's what it is for me. Where I know the character of the group as kind of being this weird, almost experimental, almost hyperpop, but not exactly hyperpop, but a little offbeat with what the rest of K-pop is doing. So this again is kind of the evolution of that. Sitting with the song for about a month. How do you feel about it now? Because I think this did come out earlier in the month, so we've had a little bit of extra time with it. How do you feel like this song has kind of stuck around for you?
When we originally talked about the song earlier in the month, me, Doug, and Anita talked a whole bunch in the beginning about how the song is basically a big pile of poo-poo. And they were very in that manner. And I was like, yeah, I kind of feel that. But the other half of me was like, there is a bit of things to, there is a lot of things to like here. Like that bass is very, very plucky. And like that chorus you mentioned, like, I don't think I did a good job of explaining it on the actual show, but like there's a bit of pun there. There's a bit of a Korean pun there where they're going back and forth between saying danger, saying something sweet, and saying something different in Korean. And I still think that's really, really clever. And it's really, really earwormy, but at the same time, I don't dislike it. Kind of a earwormy thing. I don't. So at the end of the day, do I feel like it executed everything perfectly? Like, no, but at the same time, like, it definitely stands out from the crowd. It definitely stands out in a pretty positive way. And sure, negative way if you were expecting like more of a typical K-pop dance number with like a huge like drop or chorus. But like if we're looking back on songs that have been doing anti-choruses and like anti-drops this entire like season and this entire year and a half or so far, this is one of the better examples of doing that. I feel, you know what I mean? Like it's, and I definitely get what you mean by like almost hyper pop, but not really. Like it definitely has like a plasticky early Sophie feel to it, where like it's definitely like a little bouncy, it's definitely playful, and it knows it's being out of the box very, very well, so they lean into it harder and harder. And all of that does feel very intentional rather than I stumbled into being really weird kind of situation, right? Like I buy that.
Yeah. There's something you said on the show about it being kind of purposefully grating and purposefully weird, right? Kind of intentional. God, I want to ask you about it, but I also want to go into it. So for me, I feel like they are, like you said, they're doing something out of the box, right? And I feel like with Woo-Ah, it's kind of a matter of resources. They are from a smaller company, but I also feel like they're so close to tapping into something that I don't think we've seen in K-pop, or maybe we have seen in K-pop, but not done to the same degree, right? The comparison I feel in my heart that I just really like as far as new groups is Woo-Ah and Billy. I think
you're gonna say it,
right? Yeah, because they're in that realm of experimentation that is still K-pop adjacent, where it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing the K-pop thing. It feels very much packaged as such, right? Just being on music shows and the way that their personalities are characterized. But right, musically, I think there's something there where they can just go a little bit further, where I don't really know exactly. But so my question for you is, do you feel like the final form for groups like Billy and Woo-Ah is something in the realm of Red Velvet? Kind of the days of Ice Cream, Dum Dum, Russian Roulette, where it's just like the first exploration into that weirdness of K-pop, but still being K-pop. I keep saying K-pop, but you know what I mean about just like that sound of K-pop, where it's like it's very distinguishably from that region, but then just really flipping it where no one else can actually do the same. Do you feel like they're headed in that direction, or they should be going in that direction?
No, they're definitely headed in a similar direction. First of all, like Billy and like when I was first listening to the Danger song, I thought it was like I honestly thought it was a better version of Kin Gamingayo. I'm so sorry, Billy fans. Like I'm so sorry.
How
but
dare you? I'm going to.
I know I know they have a big following. Um, and so I definitely think they're headed in a similar direction, especially with these two tracks coming out in a relatively shorter time span from each other, right? Do I think that's gonna lead them into like a early Red Velvet kind of thing? I don't really think so. I don't really see that happening. I feel like they're gonna build more and more into this. I mean, obviously, at some point they'll have to shift because that's what K-pop has to do eventually. But at the same time, I do feel like there's a market for people who like this kind of campy, kind of cheesy in a very, very fun manner, kind of music. And I feel like they're definitely going to keep growing into there because the demand is there. These two are the ones applying it. If anything, I'm going to imagine there's more groups that are going to go start heading in this way. Like, intentionally or not, like Bugaboo kind of reminded me of that as well for really interesting reasons. Aesthetic wise doesn't make sense at all, but some of the stuff they were doing it feels like they were pulling from like the earlier hyperpop stuff too. So in that aspect, I was thinking, okay, like there's definitely a demand for it. These guys are meeting supplies. I do think they're gonna head in a similar direction that way.
Yeah, no, I feel very similarly, where we're just kind of scratching the surface, right? Where I think you said this on the show as well, that they're definitely progressing as artists. They're definitely getting better. My favorite member is Irene, the one that you guys just don't see it. You don't see it. Nana, for those who don't.
Yes. Doug sees it. I don't see it. I'm like, no.
I don't understand, Warren. I just don't.
They're very attractive people. They're both Asian. Are they both Korean? I forget. But I know Irene's Korean, but are they okay? They're both Korean.
Yeah.
But like, no, they don't. No, she does not look like Irene.
No, it's fine. No. I care about you, Warren. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye. I will say, just in our defense of the Nana cult, it's the eyes. So it's kind of the brightness of the eyes. And then when she has bangs, then it's like, okay, the features a little accentuate like Irene. So I can see where people can't see it, but it's just when the bangs drop, it's like that right there. But yes, as far as artists and the song itself, I think Nana is definitely growing as an artist, not just a vocalist, but in her rap, where her rap just came in very smoothly to kind of accompany Lucy's rap in that second verse, as well as kind of the sweetness of the song, where they're singing a little higher, right? It's pretty high. It's almost just like cavity inducing. Yes, that is also an analogy to the fact that there's desserts mentioned throughout the song. So, I think it's just a really fun offbeat summer track that like it definitely tells you it's summertime, but in Wua's unique way. So that is, it gets me. All right, Warren, what is your number 2 track of June 2022?
My number 2 track is, this was my first, then I flipped it around right before we started recording, or actually while you were recording the first bit of the show. And it's aespa with Illusion. I think it was pretty obvious that I think that I like the song. I kept putting it on like a higher portion of the chart for a while. It is the pre-release for their EP, which is dropping in I think like a week or two now. It was, I don't know, it was a very aggressive trap song with aespa rapping on it, and I was like, that's kind of what I asked for, and I got what I got, and I'm kind of happy with it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't complain about this because it's everything I wanted, and it's here. Good Lord, it's here. Yeah.
When there are certain songs that come out and they hit a specific type of storytelling genre, you immediately recognize it. I feel like that it doesn't always have to hit for songs, but for me, that's something that really like piques my interest, right? So if there's like Cosmic Ghost is a good example. Some of their old stuff is definitely fantasy, space fantasy, science fiction, fairy tales. Luna does a lot of that stuff with the kind of their older songs. With this song with Illusion, you guys did mention it on the show, but this is just a spiritual encapsulation of like future punk, cyberpunk, science fiction, like all of those sounds, right? Immediately when the song comes in, it's like, yeah, this belongs in a movie or a video game. In a really good way, right? In a really like positive, just like this could be a soundtrack to something. But then it does a lot of really cool like K-pop things, whether it's the vocals, the raps, and kind of like the way the song flips and changes from like a dubstep to hip hop to trap. What did you think about kind of, I don't know, this song being so different from the rest of aespa, but then also having the character of aespa? I know you mentioned it a bit on the show, but can you kind of go into deeper detail of what it is about the character of aespa that this song retains?
I think the character of aespa that you're talking about is like this attitude that this group has had. And I know there's a bit of like word around it, given like how they performed on Coachella and whatnot. But I do think, at least in the way they portray themselves in their music and their performances, there's definitely an attitude of, I don't give a fuck, but I'm a kind of a badass kind of person. I'm a fucking badass bitch. I'm bitching here, but like, I don't really give a fuck kind of vibe here. And I feel like that's been the consistency that's been in the aespa songs and in the aespa kind of I don't want to say lore here, because they do have lore, but like in their kind of thing, right?
Like the personality of their personification, right?
Right. Yeah. Their persona, right? And if you look at Next Level, if you look at Savage, if you look at Girls, they're definitely songs of different genres, but at the same time, you can tell they're, first of all, they share the same aesthetic in terms of the vibe or like the aggressiveness, for instance. This one in particular feels like we're leaving off of where Savage left off of, with the kind of destroyed and kind of industrialized synths, some of the stuff you hear in hyperpop, some of the stuff you hear in some of the more edgy versions of trap music that's really trendy these days. And I feel like this one leaned heavier into that like hip-hop aesthetic even more, away from Savage, which was definitely still dance pop. Here it feels much more like hip hop, much more like, oh, like, you saw us on Savage, you saw that we don't really care, we still don't care, but we're still really kind of good at what we do, kind of attitude. So in that essence, kind of looking into their upcoming album too, right? Like, this came out, and then the other one was that came out a couple days ago was Life's Too Short, which definitely shares that attitude, but it kind of flips the aesthetic of it completely, where it's, a lot more chill, a lot more poppy, a lot more like IRL versus Cyberpunk 27. You know what I mean? And I'm getting the vibes of, okay, SM is trying to show that aespa is definitely doing this future techie thing, trendy thing, ultra mega hyper trendy, but at the same time, they can do some of the more classic K-pop stuff too. So they flipped it around, and then that's what they showed us, and that's where I'm like, okay, I don't know what Girls is gonna be like. I'm confused. Sorry, I kind of ranted there.
No, you're fine. Rant away. This is a Warren rant fest without Anita at all. This can just be 5 hours of Warren ranting. Totally fine.
Just you and me, man. Just you and me.
I know. No, I feel very similarly about everything you said about the character and the attitude that aespa is being projected as, right? I think what's really cool is that I was one of the people who were more hesitant, to say lightly, of the whole Kwangya integration with futuristic storytelling. I'm not a lore person, so I'm just like, aespa's gonna have lore. I don't know what to do with it. I will just wait and see. But because of the fact that it is so familiar for me, which is the types of storytelling and shows and movies and video games and things that I enjoy, it's kind of working, because it's so, it feels like it's very prominent for who they are, but it's not like, maybe this is my interpretation of it. It doesn't feel like it's being like thrown in my face as that's all that they do, right?
Right. No, I kind of feel you because, like, back when we were first being introduced to all this, like Mai, Karina, and like Black Mamba and Kwang, like when we were first being introduced to all these buzzwords, we were like, this is kind of BS. This is a lot. But the way they're progressing this storyline so far has been pretty loose enough where, like, even if you don't like, I haven't seen any of the concept films. Like, I'll be honest there, I still haven't seen them. I'm sorry, Anita, I know you told me to watch them like 10 times already. I still haven't seen them. But like, I know I'm missing out, but I don't feel like I'm missing out a lot because I know how the story goes. If you listen to the lyrics, it's clear what they're referring to. Like, if you watch the Savage music video, you're like, okay, that's Black Mamba in the background, and like they're gonna pull out a sword and kill it, and like maybe there is a lot of subtle detail that I'm missing because I'm not digging deep into the lyrics and the music video and the concept films. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because, like, there's like, I mean, I'm not investing 100% of my attention to aespa at the moment. I wish I could sometimes, but at the moment I'm not, and that has worked out because if aespa was doing stuff like, if they were telling the plot of Good Kid, Mad City throughout like 3 EPs, that wouldn't work out with this model, right? Because like that's an actual like storytelling thing. This is clearly like a lot simpler. It's something familiar enough for us to kind of follow and kind of go along with. So from my perspective, where we are going through 3-4 K-pop songs every week, throughout the entire industry, it's been pretty well solidly constructed, especially because like this doesn't need to be like the next Tarantino Bong Joon-ho film with like huge movie twists and you know what I mean. Like it's been good.
Yeah, we can kind of touch on Life's Too Short a bit here too, because Anita did say something that was interesting about kind of the genre flip, and I think for me it's about accessibility, right? So it's this idea that you do have all this lore and storytelling, but how do you make it so that's not a requirement to enjoy the music in the background? It's just something in the background, right? That kind of adds to the character of who they are, but then also still be able to do a song like Life's Too Short, where it retains a lot of this essence, the spirit of the group, while doing a genre that is just not something we've heard before from them. It's a coming of age song, right? It feels like it's one of those, like Anita said Y2K, but it does feel modern in the sense that I probably have seen this in a coming of age rom-com somewhere in the past 10 years, right? In the West, specifically here in the United States. And the fact that it's also in English. So I think, well, SM has a lot of money, first of all, because creatively, I think they're doing some amazing things. But I also think they have a lot of money in their marketing department. Their, I don't even know who is in charge. They're Kevin Feige of SM, essentially, right? The person who's like directing, like, okay, we're going to like slow release like this storyline, but then also make sure the music is front and center here. And then also, we'll throw a dance performance video here and there, because the dance performance video for Illusion, excellent. Like, man, these girls can dance, these girls can move. It's like, yeah, no, they're good. Like they have the essence of just like still being performers above it all, right? So whoever's in charge of all that, shout out to you, Kevin Feige of Korea, of SM. 'Cause I feel like SM has found something as far as seeing the long game with aespa, and we're just now slowly getting bits and pieces of how it's going to grow, right? I mean, we're only year 2 into this, which is kind of crazy, right? So it's like, yeah, man.
I know we give a lot of shit to SM because of like some of the crap they've said with NCT, or like and the execution of Super M, and like they've done some funky stuff. The interesting part is a lot of this funky stuff has worked out, and there's a reason they've been in this game pretty successfully for the past like 2.5 decades now at this point.
We're getting on 30 years, Jesus.
Yeah, almost 30 years at this point. It's been after like year 2000, I think it's been difficult to find like a group that's like flopped with this company. And now they're like, okay, we know we're gonna do pretty well. Let's start taking some crazy risks. Let's do what other people haven't done, and that's kind of what's happening here with aespa. And I was also one of the people that was like, Kwangya my butt. But now I'm like, okay, like I will shake my butt to Kwangya. Like this is cool. I dig it. Dig.
Yeah, and I think this fundamentally goes to like everything that you kind of rest on with music or with K-pop. It's just like it starts with the music, and the music is good. Just like yeah, so everything else kind of sprouts from there, right? So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shout out to aespa because God, I'm so surprised that I'm so invested into them, right? That I actually like them. It's like they're amazing.
I remember like the first 3 times you covered aespa, I was like so negative. I was like, this might be the first SM flop. I was like, this Black Mamba crap is kind of crap, and I was like, like I don't know, guys. And then like Next Level blew up, and I was like, maybe not. And then Savage came, and I was like, oh, good lord.
Yeah. Yeah. Just one last thing about aespa. I know we're talking about aespa for like an hour. It's fine.
It's fine.
To remove all of that, the things that they do that are typical of K-pop groups, whether that's like TikTok, the side content, vlogs, just being active Gen Z kids on the internet, they do that really well. So not only like for the people who want to dig super deep into all of this, you can, but then if you're just a very surface level, like I just like to pass by TikTok and see like a clip of Winter and Karina. I was about to call her Jimin. I'm so sorry. Her name is Jimin. It's a joke on the server. Winter and Karina just like, you know, hanging out, or like Giselle hanging out with Somi because apparently they're like best friends. They do all that stuff like incredibly well. So it's just like, I don't. And the thing is like, they don't feel overrated. They just feel like they're going in a really nice direction where they can kind of just like take hold of K-pop eventually, but it's a very good progression.
Yeah, no, I frankly haven't seen their TikToks, so I can't really confirm that part. They just haven't shown up on my For You page. Don't blame me. But I do feel like
JoCab will send plenty of videos for you to mess with your algorithm. Don't worry. I'll tell him to send those to you.
Oh, okay. I do think they blew up at the right time, and they are maintaining that at a right pace, and they are growing at a right pace. Like it doesn't feel like they've gone over their heads yet.
Right.
Like I have felt that way about certain groups where like I'm concerned about them becoming like one-hit wonders, but nah, with these guys, nah. Yeah, they're following it up really nicely so far.
For real. All right. We can talk about the album when it comes out next month. That's fine. Yeah. All right. My number 2 song of June is Promise 9. Stay This Way.
Ooh.
I love this group. I too have like a soft spot for them. This is one of the groups. Well, I'll just do it now. So 2022 has been a year of kind of rediscovering entire discographies of groups, kind of the late Gen 3 groups. Promise 9 is one of them. I went to their entire discography from the time DM was released in February. So now I regularly go back to my discography playlist of them, just listening to their songs. With this song, it's part of their disco. I don't even know anymore. Quadrilogy, 4 songs of just like disco in the past 2 years, and you know it doesn't pack the same kind of punch as DM. I think for me, DM was their peak. I love DM the most, but I think it flows very well with the 3 other songs. I created a Promise 9 disco playlist from what you said, the fact that you looped those 3 songs, threw the song right in, and it just seamlessly flows right into the song. And I'm just like very connected with it now. I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, they're a little bit older, so they have like the maturity in their presentation. And then the thing that you said on the show that I was just like, yes, that is exactly why they are so cool, is that they are extremely, what was the word? Not accessible. They're approachable. Yeah. Just do the jeans and the shirt and the blouse and just, you know, we're good to go.
I feel like I could be friends with them. I don't know. Just you know?
Yeah, just super attractive friends. Yeah. You know, just, you know, amazing. That's the thing. Words are so hard. Warren, what did you think about the song? How does this song feel for you? It's only been about 2 weeks, but you know, where are you now with this song?
Yeah, no, disco trilogy, right? Following up from Feel Good, We Go, DM, and this Stay This Way. I do feel like I mentioned on the show, I do still feel like they're kind of repeating the same beats that they're kind of, at this point, they're kind of familiar with it. I'm a little more on the side where like I feel like We Go was the peak and then DM was building off of that. It's really doesn't really um have a huge difference, but I do feel like at this point the reason they keep doing that is because they know that they're really good at that, and they are kind of confident with that. So I think that's really good, because if you look at their discography leading up into Feel Good, they were kind of all over the place. They kind of were, right? Like we had like they were bangers, right? Like DK was a flipping banger. That is, I still listen to it. Love Bomb was like one of the best songs that year. That was also really good. Like Glass Shoe, like that was really good too. All of these songs were really good, but they were kind of inconsistent in terms of like who Fromis 9 is. And like at first they were like, oh, like, you know, we're school people because we came from this audition show where, we were kids, from idol school. So school used to be their thing, and then at some point they were like trying to catch bugs in the middle of summer, and then they went to like blowing things up. And so like we were kind of going all over the place. So I do enjoy the fact that there is a good level of consistency and a good level of characterization. To the fact that when we think about From It's Night, you and I can both agree t-shirt, blouses, kind of approachable, kind of casual. Like they're not doing the badass Espa girl crush thing. And I think that kind of makes sense for the kind of people these folks are. Like kind of going back to what you said about Espa earlier. Like if you watch, I keep getting From S9 on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and they're like, look at these kids, they're being funny. And I'm like, they are very funny, like so I think all of that kind of works out really well together. The only thing that I was a little bothered about was that, okay, we've done the disco thing 3 times. We're in the point of the industry where like people are kind of moving away from disco. It's been really cool, but like I kind of was hoping for something different this time around, and that didn't happen. So maybe, I don't know, who knows, maybe next time. Cross my fingers.
Yeah, and I think what you said on the show about it's time that they get a full album might be that opportunity, right?
Yes,
because
yes.
We've gotten a lot of mini albums. We've got a lot of like nice small stories, like short stories, right? If you want to look at it from short stories and novels, we got a lot of nice short stories from Promise Nine, and I think they've done a nice job of kind of recharacterizing themselves over the past 2 years, right? I think the maturity, them being in their mid-20s, and then music like this, right, where it's more wide audience in the sense that I think everyone can feel very familiar with disco music, whether you're a teenager or whether you're a 60-year-old man like myself. So it just feels really good to just have them around. Like they're that one group that they've been around for a minute. We've kind of seen the progression and growth through everything that they've been through. They've been on camera for so long, essentially.
Oh yeah.
And it's just nice to kind of see them not. I mean, I would love to have them be super popular and have that kind of spotlight, but I think they're in a good place right now where people recognize them. They're very lovely. They are invited to a good number of variety things. It's just what's the next step, and I don't really know where they can go from here if they don't follow like the trends that are happening in K-pop. If they just continue on with themselves, but then what does that mean as far as being a little too familiar? Kind of going back to the same bag, is that the phrase? I forget the phrase. Going back into your bag of tricks, right? Something like that. The
same bag of tricks, the same toolbox, box of tools.
Yeah. So, but overall, it's such a good song for summertime for me because we'll get into the music video. So, but let me adjust one thing about the color. I too noticed that. I think what happened was they shot at different times of the day, because you can definitely tell some shots are in the morning, some are midday with definitely a lens flare. And then the evening shots are great. They're beautiful. I wish most of the music video was actually shot during that sunset, because there's the warmth that Anita was talking about. But I think the color correction was a little off. I think a little too high contrast in some parts.
There were definitely moments where like you can tell they had to work with cloudy footage, and they had no choice but to like turn up the exposure and like turn up the brightness. Which it happened.
On the one hand, it's like, okay, creative solution. While on the other hand, it's like a little too noticeable for like folks like us, right? But they look gorgeous in the music video. It's just a lot of glamour shots, very island summery. I feel like I would love to just like, go to the beach and then just like, oh, look, pretty girls, pretty friends, my friends.
Hello, 9 friends.
Hello, my 9 friends. How are you? Oh, do you want to hang out? Okay, no problem. Yeah, and I think this song for me kind of encapsulates like summertime, right? I feel like this is what we see typically of K-pop, whether that's like that sun on the beach, a bright summer feel to it. It's just like everything that just makes you feel good about summertime in K-pop. So that's where I kind of sit with it.
Yeah,
I think that's
perfect summer banger.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, look, what else? Anything else you got for this song?
I was looking at these album sales for this so far. It's been about a week or so. They're getting some good numbers. They're sitting at 138K right now. So hopefully Hype looks at that and they go, maybe it's time these kids get the full length album and reel in the cash. Like it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. So it's about time.
Yeah. Oh man. Thanks, Warren, for keeping track of those numbers for us. I will go buy the album now. Thank you very much. All right, cool. I love them so much. I'll get all those photo cards and I'll show everyone. All right. We're at your number one song of the month of June. What is your number one track, Warren?
My number one song of the month was a bit of a shocker for me. I didn't expect to like the song this much. I went in with like kind of low expectations because their debut was not really my kind of music. I thought that was cool. But Up though, bro, like that was like it's up there. Kepler's Up, man, like that's been the song of the month for me. It's been banging. I feel like that's also a wonderful, awesome summer banger. It plays along with some of the more classic K-pop genre cliches, but like in a really refreshing way. And yeah, no, they definitely. I still stand by what I said in the episode. Like they're doing some of the more expected things with this genre. Sure, they're doing some of the more expected things with this aesthetic too, but they're doing a damn good job of it. They're doing a damn good job. So at the end of the day, like. Up is here. Like I'm kind of excited about where Kepler is gonna go now, because while I was not very impressed about Wadada, Up has been proof that these girls can try different things and still be really successful. So yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever they have next, but I'm still listening to Up. So like I'm not looking forward to it that much. Like let me enjoy Up for a bit,
I have this as my number one track of June as well.
There we go.
I think we've been starving for like summer songs that just like kind of do something a little bit different. Maybe that's not even doing anything different. Maybe we just want something familiar, right? And well, I think different in the sense that Wadada was like the girl crush. It's like, okay, we're gonna do what everyone else did, right? From 2020. It's like it's 2022. What can you do for me, Girls Planet 999 group? And the previews definitely set us up for that. For me, emotionally, just the brightness of everything, a lot of the blues and pastels, and then we get the song and the music video, and it's just so well executed. I feel like every member, for the most part, got screen time that captures them, right? Because they are definitely a younger group. Yujin, shout out, 25-year-old, you're doing great. But I love her. I think she does a nice job of just like being fun in the music video. But everyone else is like a kid, and I think it fits kind of the exploration of what the music video was doing, in addition kind of to the song being really fun and light. I want to shout out Hikaru. She is my favorite member. Doug hates her. That's fine. But I feel like she's kind of moving into kind of more of the forefront as a member of the group, because in the show Girls Planet, she was great. I feel like she was just a top performer. She had all the skills. She's kind of a savant in a lot of ways. I feel like I'm throwing that phrase loosely, but if you kind of look at her background stuff, but she's really just good at performing, singing, rapping, dancing, right? And then a little bit of that was shown deeper in Queendom 2, where she was a lot of part of the creative process for a lot of the songs. And then she even helped out Umji when they did the collaboration stage. So it really got to show kind of the way that she thought about dancing and performing and the way that she broke things down. And if you can teach someone a skill, then to me, that's kind of representative of like your understanding of a skill, right? And she did a really good job of teaching someone who's definitely her senior dance moves and choreography in a way that was really accessible and understandable, right? So I think for me, that's just where Hikaru is kind of growing into it. And I hope that she gets more of kind of front and center for this group because we still haven't gotten like the bars yet, right? We've gotten like some fun stuff. We got this song, which is kind of light. Maybe she doesn't need to go super deep into like the rap, but I feel like eventually by the end of their run, let's get something super grimy produced by Warren. I would love that.
No. I mean, I know she was. People have told me that she was training for XG at one point, which is the Japanese group that came out of Avex, and they have a huge focus on rap. And you can tell when you listen to their songs like Tiptoes that like, okay, you can kind of see Hikaru fitting into that kind of aesthetic, that kind of like, format. I'm not exactly sure if I really want to see Hikaru in that format because what we have right now works so well. Like the track, honestly, like when you listen to it, audio only version, you're going through the the beats of the song, you're going through different sections of the song, and then the moment Hikaru starts rapping, you kind of pause everything you're doing, and you're like, okay, like this is her. And she does. I feel like she has a more of a pop approach, K-pop approach to kind of doing rap here. It's a little different from what I say like Soyeon has been doing in the stuff that G Idol has been putting out recently. And for the most part, I do think it works. It's never did I find her rap annoying. If anything, it always brings down the energy and then pulls it back up right when it needs to, which is what she does in this track as well, right? Because she does her rap is often like the bridge area, in terms of pacing. So I think it does a really good job of that. Now, with this track, I do feel like Hikaru was like the main character, right? So I'm thinking I could do with more of her, but like maybe with the next comeback we could see more of a different member, like Chaehyun, for instance, or like or Hyuning Baihye, for instance, or who's another one? Who's the other Japanese girl? I forget her
Mashiro.
name. Mashiro was really cool too, and the couple seconds of her that we got was really cool, but like she had very short lines if I remember correctly. So I'm thinking like, who knows? Like, like I wouldn't say no to like giving the spotlight to other members as well. I think.
Yeah. And this is in no way like separating the members, but I do feel like for the most part, 9 members of this group all have the ability to kind of be showcased in different ways. Relative to IZ*ONE, right? Back in the day, we're like, oh, like you have a lot of members. Some of them were showcased a lot, and then some you kind of understood like they were still learning and kind of training on the job training, right? Where I feel like here it's like, no, you have like a really good top 9. Where I feel like there's just a lot of ways that you can showcase them, because I feel like Mashiro from the show and now definitely is was really good on the show. And it's just a matter of time of like giving her something where she can be spotlit a little bit more. Same thing with Yeso. I feel like she's kind of amazing. She was always like talked about as like the 15-year-old that was just like so incredibly professional because she's been doing this since she was 4. Just like, well, can we get something in the music and kind of the dance or the showcase? But yeah, well, a lot of good things. I will just say that. I think I am a lot more optimistic about Kepler than I was when they debuted.
Same. Because with Wadada, it felt like honestly, with Wadada and Up, they haven't been super creative, but whereas Wadada felt like a lazy attempt at doing that, this feels like a very excited attempt at doing that, whatever it's trying to do. So in that aspect, I can't complain. And in fact, like if you listen to the EP, like there has been other tracks where like you can tell that they're capable of a lot. Anita already mentioned it on yesterday's episode, or I'm not exactly sure which day this goes up on, but Le Voyage with a 9 instead of a G, which is I believe the second track on their EP. that does a really good job of showcasing some of the other members in different ways with, this whole different mood to it. So I'm thinking, okay, these people are definitely capable of doing a lot. We don't really have to, just do the K-pop thing. We can just do our own Kepler thing. So in that aspect, I'm really excited. Do you remember like when they are signed until? Is it 3 years, 2 years? Do you remember?
I don't remember. No.
Dang. Okay, let me look that up real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking to the mini album, I think it's a surprise and also just a great mini album in general. I think Le Voyage is a great song. Attention is also a nice one, kind of to continue on into a lot of the pop things that they've accomplished with the title track. And then kind of ending with Rewind. It's a really nice like fan song. It's not just a fan song, but I feel like there's a lot of like nice fan elements where it's a ballad, it's a slower song, but there's a part of the song where I think it's Bahie and I forget who else. But they speak in English and then they're talking to you as if you are in the audience, and I think it adds a lot of personality to them as a group, where you kind of feel connected with them, especially if listening to this album is your first experience with Kepler, and now you're kind of being drawn in emotionally with the story throughout the album. Do you know when they end?
Their contract is on for 2.5 years, which is, it's not as long as your desired 7 years, but it feels like they're coming back pretty often. And I say 2.5 years is a good amount of time to characterize these folks and move on. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, surprise number one. Let's do a bonus song then.
Yeah.
Do we let's pander. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's do two. Let's do two quick ones. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you this, Warren. Can you take me through your redemption story of BTS and Yet to Come?
Oh man, I should have seen that one coming. BTS Yet to Come. Okay, I'll be honest. My opinion hasn't changed too much. Although I will admit, it sounded a lot. I was listening back to the episode where he did talk about that, and I sounded a lot more aggressive than I actually feel. So maybe I am going back a little bit. Yet to Come is a nice song to listen to. I'll give you that. Like it's fun to listen to. It does have a very emotional aspect to it. The part that bothers me a little bit is that I know that they're good at writing lyrics. We've seen them write good lyrics. You've seen them perform good lyrics. Yet to Come was the perfect spot for them to showcase all of that, but like that didn't really happen. And it felt like they were pulling from kind of expected and cliched expressions to just, to kind of show where they are and how they feel. And what they feel and how they feel and where they are in their industry, in their careers and in the industry is obviously something we're all aware of. It's all something that we can get behind and we can all feel that and go with that. And that's why I want it to be like a really good moment for these folks, right? Like I know it's a special moment for BTS. I know it's a special moment for ARMY. It's a special moment for all of K-pop. And that's why I was hoping like they would be able to showcase their best aspects there, especially because their strengths as a storyteller has been a little bit more in the back burner a little bit after On, with Butter and like with Dynamite, which are good songs, but like they're a little less message focused than they were than what BTS has been doing previously to that. So in that aspect, I was like, okay, like I'm a little let down there. Otherwise, if you ignore that part of the song, it's really fun to listen to. It's there's moments where I'm like, okay, like this is definitely something I would get really emotional to, if I was ARMY, and especially if I had been with them like earlier in their career as well. Now that like, how many years have they been here? 9 years, 10 years?
9 years, yeah.
9 years, right? 9 years, right. The Proof was their 9th anniversary, so that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, no, see, I'm glad that you're able to kind of have this second round of letting your emotions speak, because I do feel like when I listened to it, it didn't seem that bad. I feel like Doug's reaction heightened a lot of the.
That's
and
exactly
focus.
what I thought.
In no fault of Doug's, I think he did have
No, it's his fault.
Doug, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus today. I really am not. But it did heighten the situation, intentionally or not, right? And it felt. I mean, it was good. It was good television. It was good content, right? That's what, for me, I was totally fine with it. And not that many negative comments in the comment section on YouTube. Shout out to all of you guys. Good job, guys.
No. I've gotten much stronger hate before. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I do think what really made me excited was the stuff that came after yet to come. And I'm not talking about more. More was really cool, but I'm talking about the was it a show and like a they called it Pesik. They just sat around and talked about their careers on, I think it was a YouTube video for a bit. And you could tell that they are in the point in their careers where they need a break, where they realize where they are. And some of the concerns I had for BTS, it felt like they are already aware of that and are 20 steps ahead of me in that aspect already. So that makes me really excited for whatever they're doing next. Whether it be the solo stuff that we get in the next couple, year or two, or the group stuff that happens earlier. If I think about a lot of stuff that's happened after On, it's, I don't know. It doesn't feel like BTS at its best, and that's where I felt a little mixed about their career, given that with Dynamite and Butter and all of that, they've been way more popular than they've ever been before, even before that. But at the same time, I still prefer the music that happened up until that point. Like I remember, for instance, like back when On dropped, with as a part of Mach 7, some of the criticisms that it pulled up during that era, those are kind of fun things to say compared to they're doing the pop thing, with Dynamite and Butter and all that cool stuff. So while I don't dislike Dynamite, Butter, and this era of BTS, it feels refreshing to know that they are willing to explore even beyond what we've seen so far, whether it be looking back into where they've come from before, or a completely new direction. Seems like J-Hope's already going in a completely new direction, so the hype train is coming. I'm on it. It's just
yeah. I think Dynamite, Butter, and Permission to Dance served a very important purpose as far as being a cultural touch point within K-pop, within music history. They have definitely left their stamp as far as what people are going to be talking about 5-10 years ago, 10 years from now, right? Right. So in that aspect, I can appreciate the significance of those songs, but I think, like you said, there was such a big difference between Map of the Soul 7 and then everything that came afterwards. I think it was just a matter of them needing to find a creative refresh, right? Trying to find their direction again, right? Pulling from their older stuff and making sure that they're able to kind of retain that. They had a song on Proof. It's a new song, Run BTS. That is very much kind of pulling on a lot of the old inspiration of BTS, just being really weird and edgy. Also kind of doing some new things. And I feel like they would love to do an album like that. I think they just need time. I think they just need to say hey, can we just take a break from things. I think the way it came off was far more dramatic than I think the circumstances actually are, because groups will be taking breaks, like you said. We're gonna make the comparison. Big Bang had taken many breaks throughout their entire time, and then what happened? Made came out, and it's boom, here you go, amazing stuff, right? To kind of end their time before they all went to military. So I think there is a historical touch point to kind of base off of what BTS can be doing moving forward. And I think it's just a natural thing to want as just a human, right? 9 years of going super hard. 5 of which have been like such an astronomical achievement for anyone. And now it's like, okay, we need to like recenter ourselves. So I think I'm good with it. I understand if you're an army and this is just like the world's coming to an end for you, because you've invested yourself so much emotionally into everything, right? And you want to relate with everything that they've been through. At the same time, it's I think it's for the best in a lot of ways. And we'll talk about it next month. But J-Hope, I'm very surprised about that song. I think that song will grow on me. I think I will actually be like, yeah, I'm feeling dark and edgy. I will just say it's summertime and I don't want to feel that way right now. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, I feel that. It's definitely not what you expect, especially from J-Hope. And like I feel what I really respect about the way BTS handle things. I don't think they did a perfect job of handling things and going into this new era, right? Because there was the whole media fafluful about, oh, they're gonna disband kind of thing. Frankly speaking, people who work at HYBE, probably Korean people, I took it for what it is, and I was like, oh, they're going on hiatus. Hiatus is hiatus. They're gonna come back from hiatus eventually. That's what I thought. And then everyone took it, and they were like, oh, that means disband. And I was like, when did those two mean the same words? I don't know. So besides that confusion because of the language barrier, I feel like they've done a pretty amazing job of communicating where they are in their career, where they want to go in their career, how they've gotten here, all that. Like, for instance, if you like the Big Bang example that you pulled out earlier, that group would randomly go on 4 or 5 years hiatuses, even when there's no scandals, and like they just would say nothing about it. They just be like, oh, sorry, we're just gonna keep silent for next like who knows how many years. With BTS, they're giving us this clear timeline. They're doing these like Apple style conferences to tell us like what's next up in all of HYBE and all of Big Hit. And I'm like, good lord, like, damn, they're nice, doing a good job,
right? Yeah. Like, shout out to them for like, even in their time of feeling emotionally stressed and kind of almost depleted, right? They're still like have the presence of mind to say like, okay, we need to make a plan to communicate to the people that mean the most to us, which is our fans, which is the global audience, which is being representatives of this genre of music, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And I have to commend them for it. Again, maybe because I'm not an army and I didn't like emotionally connect with BTS to the degree that so many fans have over the past 10 years, 9 years. It didn't hit me the same way. It was just like, yeah, this is kind of the natural order of things, and they're not done. Right? Like,
yeah, no. I was like, they're still going. What do you mean you guys are disbanding? They're not disbanding. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
I was so confused.
Yeah, I will say, because of the fact that they've had such a big footprint in Western media, that might have been something to smooth out ahead of time. It's a small detail, but at the same time, understanding your audience now that you're not only just talking to Korean listeners, the Korean audience, you have to kind of re-message your announcements in a way where it's accessible to everyone, and different cultures take things very differently. Thank you to what was it? Deadline? Yeah, Deadline. That was a great headline, guys. Great. That was the one
were they the first people to start that entire confusion party?
They, in bold caps, BTS splits. I was just like, Deadline, you are a great outlet. What is happening? I don't know. So yeah,
they're going the TMZ route. Apparently, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's just lack of understanding. They truly just and they just ran with it because they didn't have a K-pop podcast to refer back to. Hey, SojuTalk is great.
I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, that went long, but that's fine. We're gonna do one more quick one. Pixie Villain. This is the surprise song of the month. I know it's not on any of our list because that
was my number 4 in case I had to do one.
Yeah, go into it. So this is a dark shadow concept, but with a girl group, and it's also executed quite well. So what are your thoughts now, kind of later on in the month?
No, it's definitely been one of those like surprise dark horse moments where I listened and I was like, this is not. I don't know who Pixie is. there's a chance we covered them previously. I don't remember their entire discography at this point, but Villain stuck out a lot because like this is the kind of sound you hear from boy groups a lot, and we've like had a good run with doing music like this, the shadowy concepts that Doug really hates, that kind of deal. and then Pixie comes around, then they give their own spin on it, which feels very repurposed for what Pixie's good at. And at the end of the day, I left feeling very satisfied. Like, I'm not gonna go around saying it was the most perfect thing in the world, but at the same time, the moments where it hits, it hits really, really well. Like that chorus where it's like there's this chorus effect with multiple people singing, and like that was just the way the dynamics work in Villain.
Yeah.
Just it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think I wrote down it's somewhat of a chanty chorus, but then there's a bit of distortion to it. And it just projects like this attitude about what the song is and what the visuals represent with the music video. No, I super surprised about this song. I don't really know where else to go aside from like kind of the raps were a thing to notice. I feel like there could be a little bit more improvement, but I think also not the worst raps, and it kind of does work within this kind of darker concept. So yeah.
It does what it needs to do. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, but at the same time, we've had other groups that had way worse rap in the past year, so I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. What a surprise! This is the surprise of the month. Let's just label it that. New segment, surprise of the month. Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our top three. Let's do a quick recap. So my top three were. Well, Warren, go first, because I need to pull up the sheet. What was your top three from 3 to 1?
My top three was Pop by Nayeon, Illusion by aespa, and Up by Kepler.
Nice. My top three were Pop by Nayeon, Promise 9, Stay This Way, and Kepler with Up. And number 4 is Woo-Ah with Danger. The weird kids. All right. So that was our top three of the month. Let us know what you guys think, because Warren, I feel like he got some therapy out of that one, just to kind of revisit and like let some things out. So I'm glad I was able to kind of support him in his emotional needs there.
Thank you. I had to talk about BTS. Thank you.
Of course. We had to make sure that the ARMY knows that you don't hate them. Absolutely. All right. We're gonna get into the Soju chart of the month. Just as a quick overview of how things went. The one noticeable thing for me was the fact that no songs were retired this month. I think it was a pretty relatively varied set of songs this month. I think every song kind of had their spotlight during the week they came out, and then a little after in the weeks to come. But I think for the most part, no long hangovers. I think Lightsome surprised me for how long it kind of stayed relevant into June. And then with Kepler, I feel like if 9 wasn't there, Kepler might have just gotten the Hall Spice.
She could have. She probably they probably would have if 9 wasn't here. Given like I'm looking at the chart from last week on June 28th, and other than Nayeon, Kepler would have been first all around. So
yeah.
Oh wait, yeah. Doug had him in third, but that's okay. It's close enough.
Yeah.
It's close second.
There's a note here that I just saw that I just remembered. MCND with We Asked Twerking. we ever get the title of that, Warren? I think we did, right?
Somebody figured that out on the Discord. I'm so sorry. Somebody figured it out. I forgot what it was.
I think I actually have it. Let me see. So We Asked Twerking. What were some other things that came to mind for you for MCND? Did you have any other?
I think originally I said like wet ass twerking. Like I think that either one was the original. I forget. I'm like,
yeah. So in the comment section, someone actually said it is We Are the One.
You're the one. Yes.
Yeah, so
you're the one.
Yeah, nice. That song actually has also surprised me with the fact that it was just a performance video, a track video, but it still kind of worked. And a larger budget than a typical performance video with the drones. So good job.
Oh, yeah.
Good job of that. All right. I suspect that there will be some retirements next month, that there will be some Hall of Spice entries, but I don't know. It depends on how you guys feel about the upcoming songs. There's one that if I had all full control of the Soju chart, I would just like put it there immediately, because They are also girls from space. Let's just put it that way.
No, Nyan is close. Nyan is very close. But like you said, Cosmic Girls is coming, and then aespa's coming. Those are big names.
Yeah.
Who knows?
aespa. I think I'm feeling aespa. I'm feeling it. Everyone vote. Your votes matter, guys. Let's go over the new format, the Google form. So what inspired you? What kind of made you shift in that direction, and how has it gone so far?
Right. So let me give a little bit of context, right? Because for typically, so for those of you guys who might skip that part of the show, there is a voting section based on the Gochu Gang, and Gochu Gang is what we call our Patreons. What we used to do is we would put up a thread on the Discord server, and we would be like, what have been your 3 favorite songs out of the songs that we're covering this episode? You guys would have like, I don't know, like a day to kind of vote in that thread. And you know, that, you know, vote would be the, you know, the current 4th vote that we do in the spice chart. And the reason, and so last month, was it actually the beginning of June, I think actually, was when I shifted over from doing it on Discord threads, and I started making Google Forms where I would create like a form with like all the songs as a list, and then you could select the first, second, third, and add a different song if you want to. Like, I know people have been putting Luna's Flip That a lot. The biggest reason we kind of flopped over, well, I've been thinking about switching over for a while, right? Because I know there's plenty of tools out there online that could probably make our lives much easier, you guys' lives much easier, if you start using Google Forms or Typeform or Microsoft Survey or whatever, right? The reason we didn't get around to doing that was because I couldn't figure out a good way to do it. Like, I didn't want to do something that would be a lot of effort on my end, where we have to set up the form and backend and whatnot every week. My favorite tool to use in terms of doing stuff like this is called Typeform, and I had no idea that tool is so expensive because I use it for work, and turns out it's very expensive. So I was like, we can't afford that. We can't do that. And so weeks went by, and we first thought about doing that around episode 150. That's when I first talking to Doug about that. And then for a whole last year, we didn't do anything with it. And then I was like, oh shoot, we're going to hit episode 200 soon. It's been a whole last year. I told myself I would do this during this year, and I didn't do it. So at that point, that's where I was like, okay, let's start testing it out. Let's do a test run with doing it on Google Forms, because that is relatively easy to set up, copy, duplicate every month, link it up to Google Sheets and get analytics from there. And it's obviously the tool I'm most familiar with outside of Typeform as well. So I was like, okay, let's just do this. And that's where that came out of. Where now, instead of doing the Discord threads, if you're a Patreon, what we would do is on the Discord server, there's a channel for the Patreons. You would go there, and I would post a link to the forum, and people would be able to go vote there, right? The biggest downside, I think, that's come with doing Google Forms instead of the, people chat, whatever votes they want to cast, is that the people don't know how the vote is going so far. That, I think, is taken away a little bit from the social aspect of it, where, like, people would be like, look at these girl group stands voting for girl groups, ha 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 ha. And now that's not a thing anymore, because we don't really know. I could kind of supplement that by like posting in progress graphics about how stuff is going, but like I can't do that every hour or so. Like, that's a little different. So that's I think the biggest takeaway from it. The other side of it that's been really good is that obviously it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot more easier for you guys to vote. It's a lot easier for us to calculate votes, because it's all we need to do is count votes. It's easy. You can just do it with Google Forms with calculations. And then, like, if I played around with putting it on patreon.com for a bit, because I assumed there would be people on patreon.com that's not really active on Discord, and they would probably see it there as well. I don't think that really changed things too differently. I'll probably get back onto something like that. I still got to test that a little bit, but yeah, that's where we are. A month later. So my question to you, Crispy, where you've been one of the Patreons that's been supporting us for the longest amount of time. I think you're actually up there in the top 10 somewhere. I forget where. Do you prefer the Google Forms, or do you prefer the other method around where people used to write what they want in the chart?
I prefer Google Forms. Yeah,
okay.
Because I use forms. I use other survey things at work as well. So it's just very easy. It's something I already know how to use. And I'm a very like, it's nice when it's organized and it's just like, just click. It's very user friendly, I would say. So, and then also I think if I'm like thinking about you guys, it's automatically calculates. You can retain the analytics over time, right? And then it'll give you data back if you do want to do something with it in the future, right? So I think it's just all very useful. But again, I think your concern is valid in the sense that the thread no longer has really any activity during the voting day, right? So it's really just that. I don't really know how to reconcile that through Google Forms, as I know that there are other survey apps that allow you to see the votes live, the progress live, right? So I feel like if there's another solution there, but again, it's accessibility and price point. So overall, I think to me, I like it way better because I can just like go in the morning or after I've listened to the songs, just like click and be good with it. Or like last minute, like the way that you pinged everyone yesterday, right? And I was just like, oh yeah, I haven't done this. I could do this in 10 seconds and then I'm good, right? So I think overall, to me, it feels like it's been a net positive. But I think kind of fine-tuning the social component of it is just another thing to kind of consider moving forward. But yeah, overall, I like it.
Yeah, I do think that whenever there's a bit of social interaction around that, I do feel like it raises the amount of people who vote a little bit. So I'm thinking about this from the democracy perspective. I'm like, okay, we gotta figure out how I can improve on that a little bit so that people who kind of forget to vote can kind of be reminded. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe for what I was thinking for next week was I do like a heads up a little earlier instead of like right before I record around like 4 p.m. or so. And then at that point I could probably show how the votes are going so far or something like that. Because I figured out how to make graphs really easy. Previously I was a poo-poo and I didn't really know how. So now that I kind of have all of that I kind of have my shit together all rolled up and nice. So I feel like I can do more things with it, I think, from now on. On the other hand, that's the Patreon stuff. On the other hand, last year, at the end of the year, we had a whole month-long World Cup event where we did votes every day, song versus song, every day. For that, we used strawpoll.com, strawpoll.me, I forget which one. There's two straw polls out there. I used the one that doesn't look like someone ripped out a piece of paper from their notebook.
Yeah. I know which ones you're talking about.
Yeah. People have seen them. Come on. Yeah. That one does let you see the votes results as soon as you vote. That one had definitely much more of a live action aspect to it. I do want to stick to using that for events like that in the future. Because that I think just does a better job of, quick and easy, dirty kind of method of collecting people's opinions quickly without, worrying about how to link it up to the sheets that I already have and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that worked out really well. And then you can also see who voted. I think that was another cool thing. You didn't see what they voted for. Well, I think you did because it's one. It's A or B, right? It's 1 or 2, right?
Yeah. So all of you guys harassed each other for a different taste in music. Very proud of you guys.
It was great. It was the perfect, fully realized version of what a community and belonging look like. 100%. No, thank you so much for doing all of that work, Warren. I know, we have jobs. You and I talk about this, and the fact that you do this in your free time, and you kind of give back to us and just help make the experience such a more lively experience. I think it truly does build community, and you've got a good foundation, at least as far as the emotional component of us.
No, you guys support us. This is the least we can do. I find it really interesting when you guys interact with us. So I'm always trying to open up ways to kind of create channels for more interaction with the podcast and like how people feel and whatnot. Yeah,
man. No, that's like a perfect segue into kind of like the year in check-in, right? So, 2022, we're halfway, the midpoint. A couple questions. So, what are your feelings about K-pop this year? I know you kind of went into kind of the global events that may have had an impact on the K-pop, but this is your time. Say what you didn't say on the main show. Kind of let it all out. What are your feelings about K-pop in 2022?
No, yeah, I was really looking forward to this section because a couple of weeks ago, I forgot exactly where. I know I said it on the podcast. I don't know where, but I know I said 2022 was kind of lackluster, but I don't think I was right there. I'm going to take that back 100%. Like, that was before June happened. There was a long period where we were getting a lot of boy group songs, much of which felt a little too similar to each other. And that's, I don't know. I lean more towards girl groups. I'm sorry. So I think that's a part of it. The other part of it is that this has definitely been so far in a year where we're not seeing the typical big names do big things kind of year. I know Blackpink has confirmed a comeback. That I know that happened right after we recorded, so don't poop me on that for that. I know Red Velvet came back, but other than that, we haven't had our Twice hasn't come back once. Normally this would have been their second comeback season already. That hasn't happened, right? Like BTS, they came back, but that wasn't like a full-on BTS thing. That was their 9th anniversary. We're kind of pausing for a second kind of deal. That was a thing. So it really feels like some of the names that we've been very familiar with for being the big names of the industry, they've kind of put that on pause this year, and it really feels like we're going into more of a generational shift, which I was talking about in the episode a little bit. And to a degree, that's really exciting, right? I know Stacy's coming back soon. Oh, holy crap. Aespa's coming back tomorrow. Holy crap. A lot of these new names have me really excited. Do we call them 4th gen? Do we call them 3.5 gen? Do we call them 5th gen?
Can I throw in ITZY for next week too? I mean,
ITZY too. Yes. I'm
girls,
so sorry.
They gotta. I mean, they were my OG 4th gen, air quotes 4th gen loves. I still love them, but rocky seas, I would say, sailing across the sea of K-pop. Just
ITZY, I'm actually confident about ITZY this time, because after the biggest flop, they say comes the biggest slay. So I mean, who knows? That's what I was hoping for. Swipe and the other thing, I forget. With their Falling album. Yeah. But anyways, no, I'm excited for ITZY too. I'm excited for it. I still haven't checked out the Cosmic Girls track with Last Sequence. Is it called?
Last Sequence, yes.
Last Sequence. I gotta check that out too. Now, once I realized the context of the society that's been happening around us, I'm like, okay, I kind of get why some of the comebacks were on pause, and now this season is a huge K-pop mega explosion of 20 people coming back every day for some reason.
Same day in a lot of cases. My God.
Yeah. We typically try to do 3 or so songs every week. The last couple weeks have been 4. Cause and we were very much maybe you should cover 5. Obviously that didn't happen because we don't want to make the episode 5 hours long for you guys. But at the end of the day, 2022 so far has definitely had some ups They just have been happening a lot later than I would have expected. So I do think there's been a lot of cool moments there. What's been really interesting is that it's been a little difficult to pinpoint like popular trends in the industry a little bit. Everybody feels like everybody has identified what they want to do, and like they're kind of doing their own thing, or they're playing against the older trends of last year or whatnot. So there's not like a huge thing that everyone is crazy about doing right now, and that's really cool because that means everyone's doing different things and everyone knows who they are. That's hype. And at the end of the day, like there might be a song. I remember like I was talking about Luna, for instance, where I was like, oh, like I'm not sure if I fully like this song, but it feels very Luna, and I really respect that. That's the best situation in terms of business and building a music career. Both situations. So far, I mean, I'm feeling good about 2022.
Nice, man. I actually had a question specifically about that. So with the way that the music releases have kind of ebbed and flowed throughout the year, I also noticed that we didn't have a specific trend or like a genre that everyone followed. Do you feel like this is the most variety we've had in K-pop in, I don't know, the past 3 years since before the pandemic?
Yeah. 3 years. I'll say it's been the most varying year since we started the podcast. I'll give you that. Cause like ever since we started doing the podcast, I always remember there being one overarching trend that everyone does at some point. When we started doing the show, it was Moombathon, like tropical house, Moombathon, that Latin house, that kind of deal, right? It evolved into Latin house. Deep house has always been in the background there a little bit. It kind of, it kind of came in, came out, came in, came out. It's still here. So I guess that is definitely still there. But other than that, like, sure, people are doing the noise music thing that everyone's always pissed about with the weird noises on they're not even noise. It's not even noise music. It's just trap music with funky selections for samples. And I don't know. Even in that aspect, I feel like everyone's doing pretty different things. Where like I'm not willing to wrap all of it into one thing. Like I know K-pop fans love to use the word noise music, but I just don't feel like that's a consistent aesthetic or genre to the point. I know what they're referring to. It's just I don't think it's a good idea to categorize and group all of it together because they are all pretty different.
Yeah, to that, I think it's an effect in a song, but it's not the genre in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, just a ton of examples come to mind, which is the variations of noise music. I mean, you can go from ITZY to Everglow and then Nature and Bandit, right? Which is all like considerably different. And then Luna with their 3 tracks, Paint the Town. Was it so bad? No, that's not it.
Why not?
Why not? Right, I'm so bad. Okay, yeah, but so those are all variations with that sound, which is in different genres. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. It just came to mind.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I like a lot of it's like different iterations of trap music versus EDM versus dubstep, and I'm like, like this. I kind of understand why people are grouping it together. I just don't think it's like an overarching trend that people are hyping it up to be at the moment. Not in the same sense that like tropical house was the mainstream thing 4 or 5 years ago. Because if we're talking about tropical house, it's always a very similar BPM, always very similar instruments, the same pan flutes or the vox chords or the same drop. And I'm like, okay, like I understand it's cool, but like everyone doing like relatively similar songs to each other, like that was where I was a little annoyed. Same for Moombathon. And then I was very, very heavily happy about the disco, retro, synthwave trend that like I think blew over us like since like 2020 or so actually, which was a clear. They're obviously very clearly inspired by Weeknd and Doja Cat and those folks. Not to say they copied those two, because I think they, K-pop did what it does by incorporating different elements of different, cultural or genres into each of these songs. And that was really cool for a bit. That I think is kind of behind us at this point. I remember like when Ring Ring from Rocket Punch dropped, I was like, oh no, the people were like, okay, synthwave, it's been cool. Synthwave has had a run. Kind of feels weird that they're doing it again. And that was when Ring Ring dropped, not Chiquita from this year. Like that was like Ring Ring from 2021. So at this point, it feels like everyone is kind of like diverged into different paths. Like a big broccoli from the stem to the what's the top part of the bulb? The bulb.
Yes. You are good at garden science. Yeah, no, during Rocket Punch when that song came out, it was Oh My Girl and Promise 9. They had all very similar songs. Yeah. You put those 3 songs next to each other and they sound great together, but they came out within like a month of each other. And it's just like, wow, that was 2021. So my brain goes all the way back to when G-Friend was still a group and they did Mago. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, they're doing this like right after like Labyrinth and some of the other songs that they had that was just like very anime heavy. And that kind of brings me into like my like 2022 as well, because like those trends are amazing. Like I love disco. I still welcome it in different ways. I think city pop right now is kind of my default go-to when I need to like relax and just like listen to something chill. So when there's a city pop song on an album, it's like, yes, best song on the album. It may not be, but I know Nyan has a city pop song on the album. I forgot which. I think it's the second song. I forgot the title, but
there was one. I forget what the title was too, but there was definitely one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh yes, this is all of my feelings, all of the things that I like about life. Yeah, just shout out to Nyan for doing that. But I think with that, and kind of this idea of like retro and like going back into things that are from the past. 2022 has been about like rediscovering a lot of old groups or just going into group discographies. So G-Friend and Cosmic Girls, I have just been listening to them so much. And I think, I know that was primarily influenced by the fact that I was so invested into Queendom 2 this year. But I do also want to use that as a touch point for that may also have been an event that put a lot of girl groups on hold. Because you had all those girl groups, and for the most part, they would have been promoting during that time, either getting ready for summer or putting something out early March and then getting something out in August, right? So I just think you just had that gap because of that show. But then because of that show, I think the general audience in Korea definitely got to know all these members a lot more. There was a big international voting base, so that definitely helped them. And Cosmic Girls winning the whole thing kind of unexpectedly now puts them at least into the visibility of the rest of the world who at least follows K-pop in this sense, right? And they got freaking KCON as the headliner on Sunday, so I mean, amazing work from them. So for me, just really going back into all those groups, we pour one out for G-Friend because their discography is extensive. I tend to really like the later stuff. I'm kind of the weirdo kid who liked what was it? Shame, dude. Labyrinth and then Song of the Sirens. Those 2 albums were just like, whoa, these are my kind of music because it's definitely anime, right? And then with Cosmic Girls, I would say I just have fallen in love with all of them because I have issues. No, it's a thing on the server. Simps, we're all simps, okay? Everyone's a simp. Everyone just loves all the girls and everything. And then kind of like my one last surprising thing that happened to me with music this year was apparently I like Eyes One now, and not old Eyes One. I like new Eyes One. Oh, so I'm a big fan of Yena. I'm a big fan of Unvi's music. I noticed the Yena album in the background earlier. Yes, Yena just hangs out with me while I work all day. She just hangs out. I'm a big fan of Yena. There's something.
So you're telling me you like Eyes One when they're separated and not together? Am I getting that?
Aren't these just solo projects and Eyes One's coming back together as a
group? No? Just like BTS.
Exactly. Yes, Eyes One.
Hiatus.
Yes, Eyes One are the BTS of girl groups. We're gonna make so many people mad. I'm so sorry.
I put you on those. Why?
Yeah. And then Joe Yuri. I mean, just really fun music. And then Honestly, I like IVE. I like what they did this year with Love Dive, and then Le Seraphim. Honestly, pretty good. Maybe not like the most impactful song, but I think they executed that the way that their character was supposed to be. And I was just like, all right, fine. All this Eyes One stuff. I guess I like it now. Yeah,
it's been interesting how that's been playing out, because I end up comparing how they've been doing their stuff compared to how people handled the girls out of IOI. And I'm thinking like this, they have their shit together. They learned and they know what they're gonna do, and they've been doing a good ass job of it. Because the Seraphim has been pretty successful, albeit there's been scandals. But the Seraphim has been pretty popular. IVE has been mega popular. Yena did really, really well. Toiri, I didn't think she'd be this popular. I had no clue. Clearly, I undermined their fandom. So in that aspect, I kind of agree with you. Watching IZ*ONE kind of go their own ways, it's been working out really well. It's been working out. Like Undi too. Her EP was like one of my favorite EPs of the year so far. Colors, that was great with Glitch. Like good God.
Yeah. I think what you compared about IZ*ONE and IOI is really apt comparison. Where the end of that show, the end of that group, they're all just like, all right, go to your smaller companies that don't really know or have a direction for you, and all these other companies know as soon as they're done, take you in, and all this is ready for you, essentially, right? The whole plan, right? And even I would say like the seeds of that are showing like, immediately with Kepler, and I will just say Billy, freaking Sean, Suyeon. It's just like, why is she so popular? It's because they knew exactly what to do with her as soon as she left the show or the group, right? Exactly. So it's just like, I think they got their stuff together. I'm just excited that like there's enough, again, variety of good music from a lot of different sources, a lot of different history throughout this year. And it's all like coming to a peak, I guess, coming up. So wild stuff. All right.
It's full speed, nonstop ride so far.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I've looked at the releases from the past month, and it's like moving forward, it's like I don't know if I have time to like breathe. It's just like so much, right? It's
what?
Like
you're trying to breathe? That's no. Don't breathe. No, there's no breathing here. We're just gonna suffocate ourselves with K-pop for the next half a year.
Half a year. Jeez. Well, I guess like we'll move on to like the real world. First, so K-pop concerts and things have been happening. Is there anything that you're going to, or just like things that you would like to see how it turns out for groups as they start their world tours, or as all these world tours are essentially happening together?
I don't know, man. I kind of feel mixed. I on one end, as someone who roots for many of these groups, I'm like, I hope they're successful. I hope they sell out. On the other hand, I'm like, I hope they don't sell out so I can get tickets and actually go. That has been a flipping mess. I had underestimated everything. I don't know. There's been a weird part of this where I live in New York, and we have been getting less events than you people in the West Coast. So I'm looking at you, CJ. Good God. Give me KCON. In that aspect, do I feel a little cooked? Yeah, just a little bit. Am I gonna try to go to the ones that are in New York? I probably will. Like, I know the G-Idol one is coming to New York, and that's kind of something I kind of want to go to. Like Soyeon's a pretty damn fire ass rapper. So,
yeah, Waterbomb didn't happen at all. Yeah, what's Waterbomb? Was that something G-Idol was on? I don't know, maybe.
I'm gonna bring a water gun to the concert.
And then I'm gonna get kicked out. And then my bag, and then just me and twerking. It's like, yes, this is the plan.
Yes, please. So yeah, no. I at the moment I don't have tickets to anything. My goal is to go to something. I hope by the end of the year, and not destroy my bank account while doing it, because I'm on a tight budget here with my life.
Yeah, these shows are just. The initial tickets aren't super expensive, but then if you do want to go, resale is something to navigate, something to be mindful of as far as pressing the checkout button.
Good Lord. Gotta start saving up.
Yeah. No, I feel the same. I think there are certain shows that I was able to get tickets to, thankfully,
Okay.
out of just straight luck. So the Luna show in San Francisco, it's not assigned seating, and it's a smaller venue that has their own ticketing on their
Mm.
website. So I didn't have to go to like Ticketmaster or just any of the other major sites, and it was just super easy. It's like boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
But
nice.
I heard everyone was at war for that one, so I am so sorry for all the orbits that could not get them at the same ease that I was able to.
Mm.
The show that I went to that I was really surprised that, well, I wouldn't say surprised. It was just I'm really happy that I went, and the experience turned out like probably better than I expected. It was Wusong in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
I this year, so again, this is just my exploration of just like random music and deep dives. I really like Wusong, so I listened to all of his music. I really liked his most recent album, Moth, and his show tickets were really easy to get because it was a super small venue. It was how should I put this? It was like a jazz bar.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was just like this very small venue. We got in. I was all the way in the back, and I said plenty of room, and I could still see him. It was just like easy.
Mm.
I hope soloists or like K-pop groups or I guess like not the big like industry focused type groups start to do smaller shows like that. Like I wouldn't expect that to happen for someone like Luna, right? But I don't know, maybe like Tiffany comes through and does like a small show or just like yeah, something that's a little bit more intimate, right? That doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
have to be like a big arena or stage. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Some of the indie groups I follow in Korean music, there was I started seeing them in America right before COVID hit because I know Hyogo was doing a tour, Adoy was doing a tour, Chungmo was doing a tour. Never gonna let go of that. Um,
I think
and
you've talked about that one a lot, just like the emotions.
dude, it was literally the week things were shutting down, and I was so pissed off.
Yeah, I remember. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Please stream Boyhood and Underground Rockstar by Chungmo. But we're starting to get a little bit more of that in the indie side of things. I know Channabi and Bye Bye C are coming to New York in a couple weeks, so I'm gonna try to go to that one. And I'm hoping that's gonna be more of an intimate setting and not like a huge stadium because I don't think Channabi and Bye Bye C are gonna sell out a huge stadium. No offense. But yeah, hoping for maybe some of those events where I'm like, maybe some of the indie groups I like or rappers because I know Paulo also was in town and it was like a Thursday night right before like some of the stuff I was trying to do. I was like, I can't go, guys. I'm sorry. Um, man, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely looking forward to smaller stuff. Are you going to DPR? Is there a DPR show in LA
No,
or
no,
New York,
there is one in New
NY?
York. No, there is
Wow.
one in New York. I found out way too late.
Okay.
Because he was one of the people who announced the tour much earlier in the year, and I was like just not paying attention to tour stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I know there's bigger DPR fans out there than myself, so I'm gonna think of it as letting them go first.
That's
Also, I've seen DPR live already. Actually, now that I think about it,
nice.
yeah.
Again.
His-
Come on,
yeah.
come on. They want you. They want you there.
Yes, please, but it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's. So I actually do have tickets for that one.
God damn
San
it!
Francisco. I got those with pretty
Did you get it on a resale or did you get it in the beginning?
No, I got it in the beginning. It was just pretty easy, just like click, and it's like, oh, cool.
I know it. Everyone told me it was really in the beginning, and I was like, why didn't you guys tell me? And then they were like, we did. And I was like, oh, sorry. I wasn't expecting anybody to come.
It's okay. I'm so sorry. Oh man. Well, I hope that you actually get to see like live music this year at some point. Yeah.
Cross my fingers. Hope I do. Yeah.
All right. So Warren, we've gone almost 2 hours, but why not another 2 hours? Just kidding. We really won't. Just a last like life check-in of everything overall. Just how are you? Your mental health, emotional health, intellectual health, physical health, and the people in your life. How are they getting you through, or uplifting you, and just keeping you elevated throughout this year so far?
Oh, Oh, health in most of these spectrums are okay. I don't think I'm doing awful in any aspects. I gained a little weight. I've lost a little bit. Now I'm coming back a little bit. So I'm kind of happy about that. I'm trying to work out again, which is just it's been a struggle my entire life, and I'm gonna try to force myself against it. The contacts are something that's new that I've been kind of enjoying. Um, uh, didn't realize that I look like this under the glasses, and I'm like, that's kind of refreshing. I had no clue because I've been wearing glasses since I was very little. Um, I don't know, man. 2022 it just flew right by, and I didn't. One moment it was New Year's, and one moment we're here. So, um, it's. I honestly feel like this has been one of the fastest years in the last couple of years, especially because we're coming off of the COVID situation where like I was stuck home for everything, and now things are definitely a lot more opened up, and I'm like kind of I'm kind of like doing shit again, like I'm going into the office more and that kind of stuff. Um, so in that aspect, things are flowing by real quickly. None of it feels like it's dragging on. None of it feels like I'm like having a shitty time anywhere. So like I'm kind of glad about that. Very busy, but yes, very happy. That's what I'll give you there. I've been it's I told myself I would release music before the end of July, and that's probably not gonna happen at this point. I don't know. I'm still gonna try to make it happen. That was like my biggest New Year resolution. I gave myself 31st as the deadline. Um, I don't know if it's gonna happen at this point because I'm lazy as hell and there's a lot of shit going on in my life. And I decided to marathon stuff like Stranger Things for like. There's a bug flying around my lights. I just noticed my health has gone down. I'm sorry, my mental health has deteriorated with this huge. Where did it come from?
I don't know. There's like cracks in your window. I'm just guessing.
I guess so.
Could be wrong.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm gonna have to kill it in a second. Has your life been okay, man?
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, I'm glad to hear that you're very happy and that as life is just busy, it's a good busy, right? It just keeps you going. It's not debilitating or overwhelming. And if it ever is, hope that we can provide some solace because we're all here. I know I'm like representing the community, the SojuTalk Nation here. I really am not. I'm just one person, but we're from what I see, everyone is welcoming enough to just give that kind of support. So
100%.
Yeah. As far as my life, my work started work in April. It's really nice to have structure in a day and to work and make an income and to the point where it's just like I like this. I like doing work.
Sweet cash.
It's
cash flow.
It's kind of nice, not gonna lie. But then also it's actually heightened and made doing the show more meaningful because now I'm kind of balancing it with like my professional life, my work life, and like my personal life. This is part of my personal life now, so it's kind of pushed me in a direction where I want to make these shows, these episodes, these conversations with people more meaningful, and it's made me really appreciative of the time that people spend to come on. I think over the past 3 months, I've had the most number of like new members of the Gochu Gang, SojuTalk Nation on, where it's just wow, I've learned so much about so many different people that may not have been as active or just like said anything on Discord, and now it's just like you are so incredibly interesting. Thank you so much for wanting to come on to my little show and just like hang out and talk. I think Brian was one. Brian Lim. Didn't realize he is in San Francisco until we got on, and I was like, "Hey, so where are you from?" And he's like, "San Francisco." I am across the bay in the East Bay.
There you go.
So super cool guy, and just like one of the many stories of just like getting to know people through here, right? As far as my outside life, I'm just very appreciative of this year of just like I have my work life and then I have going to a boba shop for an hour. I think we talked about this. It's like it's made that time just more fun and appealing, and then coming home and just like I'm gonna cool off and just like that's it. I too have been binging shows. Stranger Things is next on my list. So what I've binged in the past 2 weeks are Only Murders in the Building.
Okay.
It's a comedy. It's a murder and mystery comedy. It's really funny. It's really good. The first season of Killing Eve, I rewatched it, and then season 2 of The Boys was this past weekend. If you like really violent, but also like a commentary on like where we are as Americans through superheroes, it's really good. Season 3 is out, but I need a break because it was really heavy.
The Boys is one of those shows where I keep seeing clips come up here and there, and I keep telling myself like I have Amazon, like might as well use it and watch it.
Yeah,
I just haven't gotten around to doing it for some reason. Especially because I'm a fan of the superhero genre and I know they're doing very different things with it. I need to check that out. It's on my long list of things I need to watch, but I never get around to for some reason.
Yeah. They do enough with the superhero genre where it does feel like it's asking a lot of questions about superheroes that you're familiar with, but they're placing it in the real world, but also like twisting it a bit where it's just like it's a little crude. But think of it as like a comic book doing it. It's like, okay, then it's supposed to be a little exaggerated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I kind of appreciate that they're doing that because like now that we're a little detached from the first big chunk of the Marvel movies and now we're getting all these new heroes, I was like going back and thinking a little bit. Like I was like, okay, like these Marvel heroes, they're like celebrities in their world, in their like society. And I'm like, given how stupid our society is, like I'm sure there would be like some MAGA anti-Captain America folks or like, you know, like or you know what I mean? Like I know those people would exist, but they're portrayed as like these pop stars that everyone look up to, and I'm like, that I don't know, it just feels overly positive, just not realistic. But I mean, then again, like most of the things that happen in Marvel isn't realistic, so I mean, I guess it's kind of ironic that I'm demanding realism out of a fantasy movie, but still, you get my idea. Right?
Yeah,
like,
it's what Marvel's known for and what they're really good for. You know, if they did decide to change, it might be too jarring. So I think just finding a different outlet for it. I think The Boys is a nice spot for that, where I wouldn't expect Marvel to do something like The Boys, but The Boys exist, and it does a really nice job of like holding up the mirror to some of the things that Marvel does, in a fun way, very like, yes, because you can't do this, we're going to do it, and it's not like intentionally being like mean or diminutive, right? It's just like, oh, this is just saying something else. And I think that's important too. Oh, and I was going to also what was it? Binge Miss Marvel, but I don't know if that's done yet, right?
I don't think that's done.
Okay.
I don't think that's done yet. I think there's still like a couple episodes to go. I also saw the first episode to that, and then I was like, I'm gonna wait for a bit and binge all of that together. That's also gonna be interesting. I don't know. Kind of. I've been hearing a lot of good stuff and a lot of like, this is not kind of for me kind of comments about it. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how it's gonna sit on my spectrum, right? Like, is it gonna work out with me? I don't know. I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. For me too.
Yeah. Same with Thor. Like, I know the new movie's dropping in literally 2 days, and like, the Korean internet they've been having a field day with Thor. They've been saying this is the worst Thor movie to exist. They've been saying this is the end of Marvel, and I was like, man, you guys are like aggressive after like seeing 3 criticisms on the movie. Like, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah, it feels like the past 2 years of pandemic have all built up to everyone like being really creative, especially in that first year where you're just locked in. It's like, I'm going to write something. And then now it's like we're seeing like the fruits of that, where it's like everyone was in production last year, and now it's like summertime, everything, take it, between music and movies, TV shows, and just everything. So we're getting a lot at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't complain, but I am gonna complain because there's too much for me to keep up with.
Yes, this all goes back to our old man like problem of just like we don't have enough time.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not like I'm in college anymore. I can skip classes and like binge anime. You know what I mean? Like I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I wish I could. That's the thing.
Same.
Man, we're old. fucking old.
So old. So old. Yeah. Well, that's it. More any last words? Any like words of wisdom you have for the SojuTalk Nation?
Oh, words of wisdom. If you're asking me for words of wisdom, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Don't ask me for words of wisdom. Use Anita for that.
Oh yeah,
Anita the wisdom. Yeah.
Oh, really quick, how's Anita and Doug?
They're both all right. I know Doug's been out for 2 weeks. Both for separate reasons. First week he was a little sick, pretty sick actually, and then this week he's had a major family event, so he's visiting his family there. He'll be back next week. Otherwise, he's been very solid. Anita's been doing well, I think. She. I don't want to share too much because I want her to share it if she's cool with sharing it. I don't know if she is. But she's been going through some interesting things, exciting things. So everyone's on a good track with life, I think.
So Doug is getting married to love of his life, got it. And Anita has gotten a job as an executive for something in K-pop, probably SM, because they need more manpower. Perfect.
Anita is not showing her face because she is actually the bunny in the what is that group with the bunny? Pink
Billy
Punch. Oh, sure, Billy.
Was it Billy? Billy or Red Velvet had a bunny?
No. The one there's one group where they literally have a bunny head person. Shoot, I forget what it's called.
I can't remember either. I can only think of those two bunnies and also Winter being a bunny. Yes,
I like that one, and that one was a good one. Shoot, there was.
What other bunnies exist in K-pop?
Pink Fantasy has Taewon as the mystery member who has not shown her face.
So Anita is the Pink Fantasy of SojuTalk, and also is an executive for a K-pop company, which will not be named.
There you go.
That's perfect. All right. Well, Warren, honestly, this was amazing. I really appreciate that, we get to hang out. This is just, it makes my day. It makes my life. It makes my year. It's just a good time, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no. Happy to be here, man. It's been a while since we talked. It's good to connect again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get out of here. It's been 2 hours. So thank you, everyone, for listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 48. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord. This has been the SojuTalk Nation for Warren. This is Crispy. Bye.
Bye-bye.